2 minutes until we go. It's gonna be insane. The goal is 10 hours or less. We're just hoping we make it. We want to survive. Winning is surviving. Alright everybody, so I actually wanted to put up some ride footage from yesterday, and this is all going to be pretty much unscripted and everything. I don't really feel like cutting this video, even though I'm probably going to stumble and stammer over my words like usual. But this was the 2017 Cervelo Belgian Waffle Ride. Now this ride is notorious around, I guess, America, the world. 142 miles of dirt, gravel, and it starts off in an area. This is my climb right here. I do this climb very, very frequently. Hidden Meadows, and a lot of riders actually gas themselves out here, and it's really, for me, I just like climbing, and for me, I was able to get up this, it's around a 13 to 14% gradient climb, so it's pretty, it gets pretty steep at some sections, but overall, I would say that, you know, conserving your energy is huge, especially in something like this. You have 142 miles to ride. This is done at 7 in the morning, and typically it takes people over 10, 11 hours to actually complete this. So you're riding for the entire day. The entire day is spent on the bicycle. So you have to know how to conserve. And this is actually the downward section after you get done with the big climb here. And if you're a roadie going into this, like myself, and you have done mountain biking maybe a handful of times in your life, this can get pretty intense. As you can see, there's water bottles all over the, you know, the actual trail. For me, I just held the brakes the entire time. You know, that's for, I honestly, going into this with pretty much no trail experience, it's hard. I just said, you know what, guys, I just need to survive this course, as I said at the very beginning of the video, and I don't really care about placing, you know, top 100 or whatever. I just wanted to let everybody finish, and actually should say let everybody go by me and not have to worry about something like that. But overall, this is just a very intense trail, but it actually even got way more intense as the ride went on. I will say that being on the road here was, I mean, if I were to pick flaws in the course and everything, it would be just the fact that it's hard to maneuver around traffic. You know, the traffic and pedestrians are always going to be a factor in something like this. For the first, I'd say 2-3 hours of the ride, it was really good with having Escondido police be able to stay at the intersections and help us with the lights and everything. But after that, there's only so much that the police and the organizers can do. You'll see in the later part of the video, actually, it's, you know, there's a cattle rancher that had all of his cattle right in the middle of the road and was yelling at us, and that's often nowhere, so there's not going to be any cops or anything out there. But I crashed 4 times during this race, and actually on the third crash, it was in a dirt section. Unfortunately, I ended up falling off my bike and bending the derailleur, and that's something I actually have to go figure out what I'm going to do now. So my bike's broken and I hit my head on the fence. So the first crash that you're going to see is actually very, very mellow compared to what I went through overall. You know, I was going to kind of go off the actual footage that's in the video and kind of just tell you guys course by course or piece by piece what happened, but honestly, it's good to kind of just go over this in terms of being someone that did this for the first time and what I learned from it. And this is the first ride. I never typically eat on the bike. Actually, I never do. And so I brought homemade granola bars, and also made use of gels and everything. And I say, you know, I never really eat on the bike just because it's nutritionally, for me, I usually get in enough calories beforehand and afterwards to be able to sustain myself. But surprisingly, I didn't think that I would actually need any sort of nutrition on the bike until, you know, maybe 50 to 60 miles in. But I actually found that I was popping my first goo was at around, I think, it was probably 30 miles in, because I did not know that the climbs would be as tough as they were. Reason being, we were in 95-degree heat and you just whittled away so fast. Hydration wasn't necessarily a huge issue for me until the very end of the ride. And, you know, I would say the biggest complaint for me, other than the fact that the course, the dirt section for the course is absolutely, towards the end of the ride again, was just poorly placed and poorly put together. For a road cyclist, it baffles me that they were picked the way they were picked, but that's not something I'll get into right now. But you're about to see the first crash. Actually, it was again very, very mellow compared to what I crashed towards the end. Unfortunately, I didn't get on camera, but hydration, yeah, here it was pretty key. You know, towards the end of the actual ride, the aid stations were sectioned very abnormally. So, you know, you have to, you know, there was like 20-mile gaps, then there was like, you know, 35-mile gaps, and there was like a 5-mile gap. So it's like you never really knew where they were. Now, I will say though that as a new rider and everything to something like this, it's just my inexperience with stuff like that. I didn't even plan on stopping, honestly. But you're about to see, we passed the first aid station. I didn't stop at that one. I did stop at the second and third one and got nutrition and everything, because after I took the first goo, I knew that I was not going to be able to only make it on the nutrition that I brought on the bike. So making it through the first dirt section, I was pretty confident that everything was going to be okay. But you know, with something like this, it's really worth it to know what your weaknesses are going to be beforehand going into something like this. I trained for this with, I think the most mileage I did was 117 miles with around maybe 7,000 to 8,000 feet of climbing, and the total mileage for this race is ended up for me being 135, I believe, with just over or just shy of 11,000 feet of climbing. So, you know, I followed every single section and everything exactly the way it should be followed. So this is actually the part where you actually have to get off and walk. I mean, it's kind of like a cheeky, funny thing. Hit the beach, as the sign said. But yeah, I mean, stuff like this it's new for everybody. Some people had never done this before, like myself. But yeah, I will say that I definitely learned a lot from this.
Well, guys, we're only going once. We're only like 30 miles in.
Mile 30 right there. This was passing the first aid station and everything, and this is the second climb. I felt pretty good on it. Guys that were, I guess, more on the side of just sticking it out and just kind of just focused on getting up each climb. I saw some very crazy stuff during this ride, and I don't think I got it on camera, but I saw guys like on the side of the road hallucinating just from the heat, and just people in pain and suffering, and it was crazy for me. After I crashed, I ended up bending my rear derailleur, as I said, and I got a bunch of bruising. I have skin missing off my arm, hit my head, which is the scariest part for me. I think I'm okay today, but unfortunately my bike, I have to go take it in right now. Did not make it. Basically what ended up happening is I bent my rear derailleur back into place and rode single speed for, I think it was like 40 miles back to the finish line at the very end. So I will say that determination and again, resilience were huge for that section for me. I honestly, if I have to say just a general statement, I had a great time. I had a great time until I would say after the I think it's called Black Diamond section, where it was literally like death after getting out of that, because you just get to a point where you're so fatigued, your neck is cramping, every single muscle in your body is crying to just get rest, and you have to just keep going through it. Apart from some minor cramping in my shoulders and everything, I don't really get many cramps on the bike, except for my feet. My feet cramp up so much, and that's just because I don't have the best shoes in the world, but I don't know if it's just the way my body reacts towards cycling, but you know, that's something I had to deal with. Just, oh, it was terrible. This is actually towards around 45 miles in, and you get a nice, I guess in this year's section at least, you get a nice coast through Ramona here, and also I should mention that I never do group rides either, so just learning how to pace with everybody was another new experience for me. I've done them in the past, but you know, getting a nice view and everything was nice after that. But you know, this is really the big stage of the game right here, where you have to really know how to ride with everybody, and also how to conserve your energy, because it's huge in something like this. The energy conservation is huge, but after that, it's really, I thankfully have a Wahoo Element Bolt that I purchased. If I did not have my Wahoo, I definitely wouldn't have been able to complete this, because of the fact that I got lost twice and had some GPS to get me back to the course. If I didn't have that, I would have gotten lost and would have just given up. But yeah, this is leading up to the first big dirt section I mentioned earlier, Black Diamond, I believe it's called. And I don't know who's going to watch this. If anybody from the ride does watch this and wants to correct me, feel free. But yeah, this is kind of where it got a little sketchy, going through all the town, Ramona and everything, and you know, having to maneuver around traffic and pedestrians that had no idea that the ride was even going on in the first place, given that there were thousands of cyclists on the road, which baffles me. But this is a mellow dirt section, really. It started off mellow, but the downhill was very, 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 very scary. For me at least. A lot of people actually came prepared with wider tires. I had 28 size, 700 by 28s. People I saw were riding on 700 by 38s with mountain bikes. Well, not technically mountain bikes. So the section going down was very, very steep, and it was very, very hard to maneuver. But once we got through it, it was, you know, it was just climbing from there. Again, the scenery was awesome, but this is really where you're out in the distance, and this is really where the heat started to really hit you. It certainly hit me really hard, but other than that, I mean, I think that this was a huge, huge, huge learning experience for me, especially with the dirt sections. And if there was only, you know, one complaint from me towards the actual structuring of the course, it was towards the end. I felt like it was way, way too much, especially towards Lake Hodges. Again, this is footage that I didn't get because my battery ran out, but Lake Hodges, and then going into Carlsbad, Carlsbad and San Alejo Hills, just very, very poorly placed trails. You know, I know it's supposed to be a sufferfest and everything, but when you're at that point, and you're on a road bike and you're actually doing trails that are meant strictly for mountain bikes and for hiking, I think it was a bit unnecessary. I would have just preferred, you know, because this all does end on Double Peak, which is a hill that I train on constantly. I would have just preferred that the course end right there on Double Peak. You take the road up and you're good. But you know, you can't get what you wish for, unfortunately. But that's pretty much, you know, the ride in a nutshell. I had a very unique experience and learned a lot, but you know, I'm just glad I finished and everything for my first ever attempt at it, and I will definitely be, you know, making my way back next year. Anyways, guys, I'll let the footage play out for you, and thanks for checking out the video. Battery's already dead. Well, 4 crashes and a broken rear derailleur later. Hope you guys recognize where we are right now. Let's get to the finish line. Home sweet home. Good one.